What's up, my fellow flyers? Welcome back to another episode of FPV RAW. And I'm your host here, Ruben Hadeke. I'm going to do my best. I try to work out the bugs that was happening on the last time I recorded on this system here. And it was a little bit of like a kind of like a crackle type. I don't know if it was my voice, but it was. I definitely heard it. And so I just scrapped the episode, and I wasn't happy with it. But I got time now, and I wanted to give you guys kind of like a usually during the week I try to give you guys these little short episodes that way you guys can listen to while you're at work, and you guys can zone out and not listen to the fucking boss, and just kind of something to think about, and whether it makes sense or not, but I'd figure I would give you something to listen to, and I hope it helps. Like I said before, every episode I'm gonna try to get better and better, and just bring up topics that I feel that they might help somebody out there, and you never know. In the past, the goal was just to kind of bring more awareness to the FPV flyers that are out there. Some guys that aren't the top multi-quad pilots and the multi-quad guys, but I want to bring on more fixed wing guys and more of the guys that are kind of in my department, more like the fixed wing, FPV wing type guys that are out there, and give them a spot, give them a place to chill, give them a corner where they can just kick back, and they can claim it, and just let them express their stories. And so that's what I want to do here. I don't care if you're super famous or a complete, backyard flyer. You just let me know, and we'll set you up. We'll get you on here, and just give us your story, and everyone else can kind of relate, because it comes in handy. Everyone out there who's listening is a new flyer at some point in their life, and they've all had their own beginnings, and this is a good way to kind of listen and kind of say, hey, I started that same way, or I remember that plane that you had when you started out, and I had the same plane. Like that was how I started. So I'm hoping to touch bases with all the confusion that's out there in builds, and with all the other components that are out there, with all the hype bullshit that you're going to hear out there. I definitely want to keep this as real as possible in terms of my personal take, whether I just blab about it or just speak on stuff that I find to be odd, especially if it fits, or if just to give you my personal take as a consumer, because I buy shit all the time, whether I should or shouldn't. I tend to be buying a bunch of bullshit that I don't need, but you guys can relate, at least for the most part. Like just little dumb shit. I'll be buying lenses and FPV camera lenses, the 2.1 lenses. Whether I buy a couple of them, do I really need them? No, not really, but I got them on hand in case I do damage them. But stuff like that. So I am in the market. So when I see prices that are like extraordinarily high, to me, it bugs me. To me, I look at the company, whoever's selling it, and think, maybe they shouldn't sell it so much. And, for me to kind of relate that back to you and give you my personal take on, a fair price, a reasonable price, because believe it or not, I'm in the same market. I am a manufacturer, and I do sell products. And like, to put me into perspective, I sell products that I have made, I've designed, and in turn, I'm selling it out to the public, which, my hard work is, it needs to get, compensated. And because I'm such a small company, the prices are going to be a little bit higher than normal. So when I hear, oh, why is their price so high? I don't sell thousands. I don't sell hundreds. I don't even sell tens. I don't sell that many. So that's why the price is a little bit higher. It's a little bit higher premium. If I was selling a whole bunch to companies and stuff like that, yeah, I can deal with the lower prices, because then I would make more money on the bulk than I would on the smaller amount. So it's learning that side. And when people ask me, they go, your wings are so expensive. Yeah, I only sell like 2 a month. My bad. So I think of that, and then I put that into perspective of the stuff that's really out there. So when I see products that are mass produced, and I'm like, okay, well, that ESC is $150 or $120 or $100. And I'm like, well, why the fuck is it so expensive? And so for you guys who are starting out, who don't know, you're like, that can't be the only option. And I'm here to tell you that there is other options out there. They're just, you have to look, and at some point you don't really know what's good. And so I'm going to try to give you my opinion on products, and give you my pointers that I've learned, little things to kind of help you out. So understanding, mass production is cheaper than lower production for the price that's higher. So, just little things like that, and just kind of for you guys to kind of gain the understanding of small business, big business, and all that good stuff, but mainly just getting started. But I felt like I rambled off a little bit, but I figure, if you guys don't know, I try to base the stuff that I spit out there. I just kind of, just spew this information out to you guys. But I do want to give you guys, the kind of like a background of where I'm coming from. But getting emails all the time, getting messages all the time, for new flyers, and figuring out, for them to figure out what to get, and where to start. I get that all the time. And so I got an email that, I wanted to share, and I wanted to touch on these subjects, without going into full detail, just kind of give you some ideas, some pointers, to start out. And that way you guys can kind of, get a better understanding of where I'm coming from. So, just doing that. I'm going to try to transition as best I can and move along slowly, while giving you guys as much information, that I have here in front of me, and just to get through it. So, I got an email, from Jody Spriggs. Now he follows me on Instagram, but he sent me a message, and he was curious about starting out. He's a new flyer, doesn't know, he doesn't know what to get. And his main thing was, figuring out the parts to get that are out there, that are, motor ESC prop size, for dummies, is what he put in the email. And that part is real tough, because each motor out there, it varies, from a 35 to a 36 to a 36 to a 42. And if the 42 is labeled a 42, but it's actually like a little bit smaller, say a 35, it varies, because each company labels their motors a little bit different. And until you actually have it in your hands, and you put it on the bench and really get the numbers out, it makes it difficult for kind of just to based off, what the company is saying. And a lot of that, boils down to, the manufacturers in China, just produce shit, and they say, okay, don't exceed this, and then ship it. So that's what you see. But, testing here on the ground, testing here out on the field, it varies. And so, like for instance, the motor prop combo that I use, on my race wings, I'm exceeding I'm actually below the recommended, amp range. Let's put it that way. But it can actually exceed more It can actually exceed 20 plus amps on that particular brand, and it's doing fine. It's just just barely warm, and it's doing just fine. So it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult for me to respond. All I can give you is kind of give you the information that the parts that I have here, and give you a idea. And when doing this, I always tell people, hey, you need to get a watt meter. You need to get an amp reader, a watt meter, and all in one. That way you guys can measure these things. And some do vary, plus or minus 10 amps or watts or whatever. And it varies. And it also varies on the type of battery that you have. So whether it be like a 10C rating, or 45 or whatever, that's going to vary. So keep that in mind. Definitely keep that in mind. At least you want to get close and just kind of, figure out where you want to go from there. So, that was a kind of a long, a long opening, but I'm going to get into this email from Jody Spriggs here. You can also, if you guys have any questions, I have a FPV RAW page, or FPV RAW Gmail that is there. But I'm pretty sure now that I've said it, all the fucking battery companies are going to come into me and are like, oh, test my batteries. Because even now, my current email, I get emails from battery companies all the goddamn time. No, hey, if you hear this and you're a battery company out there, it makes it difficult. I ain't going to buy shit. Just keep that in mind. I ain't going to buy nothing. You send me some and state it. I will send you some batteries for you to test, and I'll be good. But I'm not going to buy any bullshit. So don't email me. That'll go straight into the fucking garbage. So just keep that in mind. Companies that are out there, just keeping it real, dog. Just keeping it real. So this FPV, this email is based upon a new flyer. So we'll just go into it. FPV, the transmitter heat, is it bad? How hot is too hot? Well, if you can touch it comfortably, it's okay. If it gets to a point where it's like over 130, over 140 in temperature, in degrees Fahrenheit, where you touch it and it's like, whoa, shit, that's hot. There's something wrong with it where it's producing too much heat, and you really should either replace it or figure out another way to cool it down. But if you're going to figure out another way to cool it down, it'll probably more than likely fail you out at the site, at the event, because it's going to be sitting there stationary, generating heat, and it puts into a higher probability of it failing. So temperature, if you can touch it comfortably after it's sitting in the shop for a while, it's going to do fine. If it's too hot after it's sitting at a reasonable amount of time, something's wrong with it. I definitely wouldn't put it in my rig. Okay, and antennas. The antennas that you have, basically what we are programmed to understand and to it's this is going to be a difficult one. Well, not really. It's not difficult. It's difficult for new flyers, but for guys, the OGs that are out there, you don't really need specialty antennas. Now, some antennas do have a higher gain or dB rating, which it can actually punch through objects. But if you're a new flyer, now, just keep this in mind. If you're a new flyer, you're not going to be flying too far. So you don't really need the high-end antennas. You can just get whatever meets your budget. And when doing that, your budget is whatever your wallet will allow, or your wife or your girlfriend will allow you to spend, or your mom, depending on, how old you are. But, just realizing that the antennas are nice to have, and basically anything that's out there so far is going to do good. Unless it's just, well, let's put it that way. If you could see it, the actual elements themselves, then you're going to be okay. Regular rubber duckies are actually still pretty good. We've been trained to say, oh, these circular polarizers are the shit, right? Oh, these are fucking good. But, guys, FPV and video signals have been around a lot longer than this sport. This sport's only been around for, a few years. The videos have been producing for these transmitters have been fine. If you're flying and just kind of practicing, a rubber ducky is perfect for you. Don't waste your money on buying expensive antennas. You'll just, use that money to upgrade your camera, because your camera is what you want to see as best as possible. So upgrading your camera is really good. What you will notice that even if you do have a bad antenna, when you start to move your aircraft, you're gonna start to know that the angle of your aircraft will change the quality of the video. So just keep in mind. But as long as you have a good clear camera image, then you're really good. You're fine. You're just practicing. Just get started. And just go ahead. The basic rubber duckies are going to be fine. For me, long range, I just use rubber duckies. I don't need any circular polarizer, nothing like that on my rigs, and I've done pretty damn well with just regular rubber ducky dipoles, and they work great. So keep that in mind. But yeah, it's tough, dude. There's so much hype bullshit for you guys to get confused out there. So just keep that in mind. Do you really need diversity? Well, you don't really need it. It's tough. I have a long range setup, and so I don't really show it too much, but the long range has the Eagle Tree diversity system in there. And so I had some circular antennas, some crosshairs, and now I went to like the linear style antennas. So just a regular patch antenna was fine. I don't really need too much, because now keep this in mind. When you're long range, the diversity helps because you have a close range and then a long range antenna. And when you're going long range, you're not going to be doing aerobatic bullshit. You're going to keep it steady, because you're already panicking when you're out that far, because your equipment, you never know what happens. If you fail to do a checklist, it could have a problem out there. So you're going to be, it happens. So you're going to be level flight. Close range, do you really need diversity? If you want to, you can have a rubber ducky and then like a patch to kind of punch through walls, punch through trees, whatever, and just do stuff like that. So it's totally up to you. If your budget will allow it, having a really good base station is nice to have. So yeah, like for me, I got hooked up with Shay from LaForge. You guys probably know him by now, but before when he was doing prototypes, I have his like very first prototype runs that he was sold out to the public, that he was just kind of like, here's a couple of them. So I have his original one, which was nice because I've been looking for a diversity for 5.8 in the goggles. And for 5.8, diversity being small and compact is pretty nice, and it is keeps everything lightweight, so you can run and gun type bullshit. You ain't got to worry about a bunch of crap. You just goggles, your craft, and your transmitter, and you're good to go. So yeah, I mean, you can, if your budget allows you to, definitely. I'd look at something that fits your budget. But for me, LaForge, Shay hooked me up and gave me the brand new, well, not the brand new, but at the time, gave me the kind of like, you hit me up first price. So, I appreciate that very much. when he gets back, I'll be buying his new one, and get it done that way. So, Shay, if you're listening, which I doubt, but I'll message you, and I'm gonna get me a brand new one for sure. Upgrade it. So that hopefully I filled you guys in as best I could. See how difficult it is. I can ramble off for 10 minutes, and I don't know if I covered it, but okay. Powertrain. Powertrain is the next step. Prop, motor, battery, ESC, aircraft weight, profile. How does it all go together? Well, let's put it this way. If you put power in the back of anything, it will go, right? It's going to go. Now, the combination of the profile, it doesn't really matter. Reason being, the motors that we're putting on here, they produce a really good amount of thrust. Whether it be teardrop style, flat bottom, like mine, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. There are some characteristics that will kind of be adapted, or not adapted. Did that sound wrong? There are some characteristics that do come with certain types of airframes. Let's put it that way. That sounds better. Some tend to tip stall. Others with a really thin airfoil. Your aircraft is going to need a lot more speed to kind of float down if it does exceed a certain amount of weight. So keep that in mind. If it's too heavy and the airfoil is really thin, it's going to come in hot. So just keep that in mind. You want to find a good combination of thickness and payload. And that's kind of like where my wings kind of come in. They kind of do it all. And, not to toot my own horn, but I got tired of all the thin shit. Really, I was so done with it, because for us starting out and getting all our gear crammed in there, some of us say, oh, I want to put a flight controller in there. Oh, I want to put all this stuff in there. Well, you need room. You need compartment space in there. So having a good weight and profile is key when searching an aircraft. And finding a prop battery motor combo. The battery will depend on its C rating and company and all that shit. I asked Tattoo to sponsor me back in the day for the racing that was going on, and they stepped up to the plate, and they did. So that's awesome. But before that, I was just buying the cheap ass Turnigy blue batteries that you can get at Hobby King, and the multi-star batteries, the low 10C, I think they're 10C rating batteries. I was just starting out. Well, actually, even now, I still buy the cheap ones. If I need a big capacity, because having those brands that are out there, they don't have the capacity size. So, like Tattoo, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but some of the combinations that you have that are out there, they're lacking. They're missing a couple of key sizes that we need. And so if they're not there, then we got to search someplace else. And then figuring out a good battery size. Right now it just seems like they're focused on multi-quads, multi-rotors, and multi-rotor. What the fuck I say multi-quad? But there's that. Let's see what else. But yeah, start. Look what is going to fit your budget. I'm going to keep saying that in everything. Look what's going to fit your budget. If you find a motor prop that works for you, it's just going to vary. It's going to vary, a whole lot, because let me see. I mean, how can I put this? I'm going to put my wing into perspective for you guys and kind of give you a base idea. I have a 3-pound wing. Okay. Let's say I have a Juggernaut. That's 3 pounds. I don't know how many kilograms or how many grams that is. But it's 3 pounds of weight. I have put on a power system that produces about 350 watts. It isn't much, but it works. At 3 pounds, the power system of 350 watts propels the aircraft just fine. Nothing special. It was a $10 motor, $10 ESC, and probably a $12 battery, 2200 milliamps. Actually, I put 4400 milliamps, so it was two 2200 milliamps, so it's still relatively cheap. Or you could put like 4000 in there, or 5000, whatever. See how I ramble off. But, it's tough because the aircraft can handle whatever. So, 3 pounds, 350 watts is about a good number. I look at 100 watts is equaled to plus or minus 1 pound. Now, there's some people out there and be like, no, that's not true. Well, yes, it works for me. Maybe not for you, but it works for me. If it works for me, I'm going to tell you my knowledge, and that's how I get my numbers. And if you don't believe me, just look at my 12S Behemoth. Does pretty damn fine at 10 pounds. With about, I don't know, probably 40 pounds of thrust. Or over 4,000 watts. So that's a lot of watts. And even my starting out Juggernaut at 3 pounds, 350 watts is what I was starting out with. It did fine. And so I base those numbers, and I can mentally, I can kind of calculate what type of aircraft I'm going to have and what type of motor I'm going to pick. Now, for the motors, normally what we're seeing now is like the higher KV motors at a smaller prop, because a smaller prop has a more top end speed. But for us, I'm just trying to focus this around a new flyer. Just figure out what the motor is rated at. If you look at Hobby King and you're looking for motors, God damn it, it's just so fucking tough. It really is, because each this is the hardest part about just figuring out what power system. So I usually mentally I'll think of the aircraft size, think of the weight. Again, 3 pounds. I'm looking at 350 watts. I look for a motor that can produce 350 watts. If it produces more, great. I also look at the comments. How many or what's the prop size that I can look for. I'm definitely going to put a watt meter in the cart, balance it out, and figure out what goal I want to shoot, and also focus on the amps of that motor and make sure I do not exceed it. I want to make sure I'm either on it or below the amp rating. So keep that in mind. Some motors do get really hot. If it's too hot, then go ahead and pitch down on the prop. Does that make sense? I really hope it does, because it's a lot of shit here. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next step. Prop size, it's up to you. Again, watt meter. Once you figure out a comfortable size prop, you will, if it's a small aircraft, you might have torque roll. I know my Runt here at 26 inches, it will torque roll with a 6-inch prop. So that's, wing dimension, wing proportion, and prop proportion or prop size will do that. Also, if it has a lot of watts. That's a lot of watts. Testing watts and amps is important. It's very important. Make sure you do that and have a secured location. Be careful when you do that. Check your watts and all that good stuff, and make sure, write it down, or I usually write it underneath my coroplast of my main bay lid, and make sure I'm good with the numbers. Let's see what else. Okay, wing design. Are winglets important? Yes, at times they are. I know Crash Test Hobby has a tapered ones that, or not tapered, but it's a winglet less winglets. It's a wingless. It's a winglet less wing. And they just cut the trailing edge of the wing. Just kind of give it a little small taper, and that's the winglet, and it works. It works great. But for some of us, the winglets are important, and proportion is important. but it's not, if it looks, you want it to have a purpose, at some point. But when I was designing mine, I wanted it to stand up. I wanted it to kind of, if I was just sitting, if I was relaxing, I can just, set the wing and let it, balance itself out. When I set it down on the ground, the winglets balance it up. So I wanted to do that. And so I just cut the back ends off and made it flat. But, the size can vary. There is a good size where, if you do turn and you're kind of carving through, the winglets will kind of help guide it a little. My winglets are parallel with the main root cord down the front and the back. It's all equal. There is no taper, because it just works great. And if you don't believe me, just check my sites, and watch the videos, and you can verify yourself. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, it's up to you. I mean, it really is. If you want to design something that's really cool and put your logo on the side, like I did, you can do that. But it's totally up to you. I vertical stabs. I'm going to move on to the next one. Vertical stabs. Is it important? I'm going to go ahead and say no. It's not important. Reason being because I've had since 2013 to now. Don't really need it. Never have, never will. It looks cool, but you don't really need it. So. I even with the new wings that I've been seeing now, like the right wing, the hardcores, you watch the flight video and it's still rocking the fuck out of, it's still wagging. So to me, you don't really need it. You just have some, it's tough because, the whole saying, more is better. Well, in this case, it's tough because, I'm watching the videos and I'm like, it's still rocking. Like there's still wag there. And you take them off and then you put mine in there and mine are doing pretty good. There's still a little bit of wag, but it's okay. So to me, I don't really need vertical stabs. I really don't. Doesn't matter. Having them equally on the winglets, because the kind of the wind, the air kind of flows off the bottom of the wings, and so that the winglets tapered, or that they kind of go on the bottom of the wing, not the bottom of the wing, but on the winglets. Let's put it that way. You want them kind of to drop down a little bit more. It kind of holds the air from escaping as you're traveling through the air. Okay, so there's a lot of shit, guys. I'm actually giving you the short versions, so yeah, I'm. Crap. There's a lot of shit here. And plus it's tough because I don't have anyone here to kind of feed me the questions or on the fly. Maybe at some point, I don't know how I would do it, but have somebody shoot me the questions or do like a live deal, and set it up that way. So I can kind of, because some people do have questions or answers or whatever. And it'd be nice so they can get the real facts, or I can kind of give them a better understanding, because I don't know it all. I really don't. I can just give you the main principle of what my wings have been doing and have been showing others, what they're capable of. So that's my experience, and for what we are in, they're doing pretty damn good. So that's it. Okay. The next one, launching. Okay. Launching a wing. There's a couple methods that are out there. One method that I don't really like. I fucking hate it. But if the person wants me to do it, I'll do it for them. If it's at a race, do it this way. Okay, you got it. I'm going to do it for you. But one method that I don't like at all, is the method of throwing. Okay, you have the wing in front of you with both hands, and you're going to launch it up over your head and to the back. Okay, do that. Just, do that when you get time. Just kind of just throw it up and do that. Do that method a couple times. Then do it with force. And, well, don't do it with force, but just, be careful. But what happens is you're stressing your whole back out and your shoulders. You're stressing your body out, launching it that way. And, this is more of a, if he's doing it, by himself. Now, you guys seen the videos, how I've launched my wings. I launch them alone, for the most part. Obviously at a race event, I can't. So I'm hoping that the person that launched me knows how to do it. Yeah. So, if you're launching by yourself, I do the football method. Now my thumb is, locking the throttle. So, and if you see my launch videos, the aircraft glides. Just go to my YouTube videos. It's just go to my YouTube channel. You can search the videos, and I'll made in a juggernaut. I'll just throw it, and it floats. There's so much time there where I can just throttle up. But let's say if you're launching by yourself, and with a neck strap, with a lanyard, okay. Let me see if I can walk you through this launching method as best I can. Okay, you have a lanyard on your neck strap, your lanyard, and your remote is connected to it. Okay, it's balancing on. You have your wing in your left or right hand, depending on how you launch. For me, I launch with the wing in my left hand. My right hand is on the remote. I got a good grip on the wing. I'm going to throttle up with my right hand to about 50, 60%, 70%, depending on your KV and all that good stuff and where you're at. So once I set the throttle, I'm going to move my hand over to the sticks, the actual controls. I'm going to be ready with them. And now that I have good thrust, I'm just going to chuck it sideways, nose first into whatever direction, hopefully in the wind. And then your thumb is immediately on the controls. And so you can kind of, if it does torque roll, you can kind of compensate for that. There's that way. There's, again, I do the football way, so it glides. Some aircrafts don't glide well. And this can be done by anyone. So if you have an aircraft and you want to do a kind of a glide test, just throw it and see what it does. If it glides very well, then it's a good aircraft. If it tends to tip roll or tip stall or whatever, that means the airframe itself, the airfoil, is meant for a higher speed to kind of generate its lift. Now, in doing so, your motor is producing the power to make it go through the air. And when I'm gonna put this into perspective for you. Okay. When I had my my Z2, I could not launch it by myself. It was a little bit more trickier. It had a higher rate of failure when I launched that wing because, the airfoil and the way it was designed, it was meant for a higher speed envelope, I guess. It wasn't meant for slow speeds. So when you launch it, it had to have full throttle, not full throttle, but a higher rate of throttle, to launch it. It just needed that much more speed. Now, when I look at one of my aircrafts, I can just throw it and it's just floating, and then I can throttle up because the way the airfoil is designed, it just floats. It's how it's designed. It's a flat bottom, high lift airfoil. And for those of you who don't know, they work great, and they've exceeded 120, 130, 140, and 150 miles an hour. So it's video to prove it. And so it's working. It's still really relevant for the majority of the people that are out there. We're going to fly slow. We're not going to be flying fast. Yes, you can fly fast. It is capable of flying fast, but you want an aircraft that you can launch by yourself. And that is the point of, getting those new flyers that are out there to launch by themselves. That's That's the main point that you guys should really be looking at when you're looking for an aircraft, is looking for something that's really easy to fly and it is extremely forgiving. So, it is nerve-wracking when you do launch a wing by yourself. It always is. Even for me, when I'm at new locations, it's still a little nerve-wracking. But once it takes off and you realize, oh shit, it flies great, so don't worry about it. But it happens. So, see what I mean? It's a lot of shit here. Okay, flying. You're gonna be learning, mainly learning line of sight. For the majority of you guys that are out there, you're gonna be learning line of sight flying. It's you can move once you figure out and get that muscle memory in your hands, your thumbs. Your thumbs are gonna react to your eyes, a lot more fluent. So keep that in mind. Do your figure eights in the air. Do your circles. I'm still pretty weak going around in circles, just because I haven't been flying that much. It's probably been about 2 months since I've flown. Just to be real. Usually when I get home from work, I'm so freaking tired. I start really early. I start at like 6, so I got to be up at like 5. Get ready and then drive to work, and then I'm from 5 o'clock to like let's see, I get home about 4:30, 3:30, 4:30, and then got to hit the ground moving. So I don't. By the time before when I get home, it's just dark. Like it's really dark, especially after dinner time, and getting the kids all squared away and all that good stuff. I don't really fly too much. And even in the weekends, like the weekends is usually when I try to build or get a lot of the honeydews done, mow the yard, clean the house and shit like that. So it's, and believe it or not, I don't really fly too much. So I don't get to fly as much as you guys that are out there. So just learning, when you do, I'm trying to put it into perspective when you do get home from work. And I try to give you kind of a small glimpse of what I do. But you get home from work, you get all your shit done, and you still got a little bit more daylight, and you just grab your shit and go out there and go fly and practice, 5 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever, but do it consistently. And, believe it or not, that is actually going to help you, just kind of get that memory down. Okay. Burn a couple packs, 5 minutes, do some passes, just get familiar with what the aircraft looks like in the distance. Remember your turns when it comes to you, remember left and right and all that good stuff. And if you're a veteran pilot or operator, you're going to be good to go, but this is more focused for the new guys. So just remember that, get your muscle memory and your eyesight and your coordination down. So, okay, next one up. Okay, long range, is it necessary for Dragon Link? No, it's not necessarily. Okay, I mean, okay, you can use something else. It's totally fine, but long range for you new guys. This is focused on new guys. It's a 2.4 range. You're not going to go a mile out. You're not even going to go a quarter mile out. You're going to keep it in close. And you're just practicing. So, just keep that in mind. You're not going to be going too far. And then, just remember your range. Once you graduate, after, getting familiar and knowing your aircraft, then start pursuing long range. And long range is totally up to you. Make sure you have your sound craft. Again, your gear is very nice and, tidy and working, operating and all that good stuff. So keep that in mind. Yeah. For those antennas for long range, for a product like Dragon Link, there are some other products that are out there, but my knowledge is Dragon Link and it works freaking great. I just been using it since the start and I've never had a problem with it ever. Only one time back with old protocols, Then they since upgraded the firmware. I had another person power up an immersion easy UHF system, and it shut me down completely. And that was kind of like a weird freak accident. I recovered, but the new firmware is a lot better. That was like firmware. God, I don't even know. Now we're at like totally new firmware. I'm still at like firmware 11, set up for, I think 1280 video frequency. So it's a little bit better. Still really great, man. I've just 2016 Hawaii Drone Worlds. It performed flawlessly in Hawaii. Long range, it did great. But start small. Start with the 2.4. Keep it in close. Quarter mile is a good range for you. Just keep it in your area. So there's a lot of stuff. Your transmitter functions. For you to understand that's you playing with your transmitter. You're going to sit down, mess with the toggles, pick some switches that are comfortable for you in your location, like where at on the remote that you are going to use the most. And for me, I have a 3-position switch for my aileron and elevator. They're separate. They're not into one. So if I want more elevon and less elevator, I can adjust that by just the 3-position switch. I have low, medium, and high. FR Sky Systems have a really beautiful radius in terms of resolution in the RX and the servos. They're just really great. And I'm saying that just because I just really do enjoy the functionality. It's so good. I put mine to like between 7 and 10 on my low rate, between 15 and 20 on my medium rate, and between 25 and 30 on my high rates. That's just me. Those are just cruising kind of control rates. You can go higher. It's totally up to you, but unless you're comfortable with that, it's up to you. So just keep that in mind. There's a ton of shit, guys. Just a ton of shit. I'm hoping this helps you guys. I'm hoping this, will get you guys to understand what's actually, what you can do, and it's just practice. Keep practicing as much as you can, because there is a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff in there out there on the web and all that good stuff. So just keep that in mind. And again, some guys do ask me, and I try to help them out as best I can. If I'm at work, I'll give you a quick response as best I can if the boss ain't walking around. But, I'll do my best. So just keep that in mind. I will try to get to you. If I forget, don't crucify me. Man, I got a lot of shit going on. So if I forget, I got sidetracked because I either get home, got to pump out them orders. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you the fucking real. If I forget, my bad, dog. But anyways, I am going to leave it on here. And, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to try to get some more guests on here and kind of, let them tell their story. So, yeah, stick around, guys. I tell your friends, tell your moms about me. Just check me out, man. But I'm going to end it here on the video of the week here. But yeah, let me see if I get this right. This video is on YouTube. So an old video. It's pretty cool. I thought it was quite entertaining when I watched it back in the day. But the YouTube artist is KILRAHVP. I have no fucking clue. I don't know how to pronounce that shit. Anyways, it's going to be in the description below. It's going to be in the show notes. So I'm going to set the link up. So all you got to do is click on it with your fingy. I hit the mic. I'm going to put the link in there. That way you guys can find it. And you guys can check out the video and enjoy it. Give them a like. Give them a subscribe. Hopefully you guys subscribe to my channel too. So just FYI, I'd appreciate it. I'm working my way downtown. I'm trying to get my subscription up and going. So, yeah, enjoy this Edge 540 plus a GoPro Raw FPV Flight. It's a good video. It's pretty cool. It shows you what's possible with a pan and tilt system on your rigs, especially in HD. Gotta have HD. Standard definition is no go. Is a no go, bro. Gotta get that HD. But anyways, with that, I'm gonna end it here, and hopefully you guys have a good rest of the week. And yeah, hopefully you guys join me again next week or next time I decided to upload. But yeah, and with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. And until next time, guys, peace.